Yes, brother, this is Shay. Today, this topic is a real big one, validation. And what I mean by that is how dependent are we for validation from external sources versus from within? So, if you experience this feeling of this constant need to feel like you're validated or that I'm good enough, or that, am I the kind of partner that you want to be with? For example, with your partner or the person that you're seeing, if you experience these thoughts, then this video, I really recommend watching this today. I'm going to be explaining what validation does, why we have it, how it even comes about in the first place, and then most importantly, what to do about it. Okay, so let's jump straight in. Validation. Now, how is that related to performance anxiety or erection problems? Well, let me just talk it through. First of all, validation, it's related to these areas because when we feel like we don't get this external validation that we're seeking, it creates this feeling of uncomfortability or stress, even anxiety in our life, because we feel like, am I good enough? Am I not? Please, somebody give me a sign to say that I am, to show me that I'm accepted and that I'm loved. And this in itself, stress and anxiety, as we know, are big contributors towards erection challenges and performance anxiety, especially because there's so much vulnerability in that moment, right? When we're one-on-one with somebody, sharing intimacy, sharing our body, sharing that sexual energy with them, there's so much vulnerability in that moment. So that's why it's directly related to erection problems and performance anxiety. Now, why does this need, this almost like obsessive need for validation happen? And it happens to so many of us, by the way, that I can't remember the exact number, but most people in the world seek external validation. It's something like probably 80%, 20% naturally find it from within. But a lot of this, as you can imagine, comes from the patterns that we've learned from the people that looked after us as we were growing up. As a child, we don't really know what is wrong, what is right. We just do what feels good. Or we do what we feel we want or that we're drawn to. We are so dependent at that young age on being told by other people, don't touch the fire, don't go too close to this edge, don't do this. That's good, you can do that way, but not this way, right? So we just have such a high dependency on this need for validation to be told, am I doing the right thing or not? So babies, for example, they want to be celebrated all the time. Look at how many times we clap and cheer for babies, even when they do something so simple. It's like, yeah, well done, you did it. And this constant validation reinforces this need for external validation, that it comes externally. So it's very rare that we learn to create internal validation. And I'm going to get onto that in a moment and give you a couple of tools on how we can start to do that. It's actually pretty simple. But first of all, I just want to loop this back round and say, so what does this mean as we grow up? Well, it means that as we go into relationships and particularly romantic moments, that we can become so dependent on this need to feel valid coming from other people that we lose sight of who we are as ourselves. We lose sight of our identity and what we stand for, and feeling like I have something great to offer the world. I'm a miracle, right? I'm once and for all, I'm never going to happen again. And it can be very easy to lose sight of that and become dependent on other people's approval, other people's acceptance. And we run the risk then, particularly when it comes to performance anxiety and erection problems, of just staying stuck in this loop where it feels like I'm not good enough, and then I have anxiety when it comes to sexual performance, and then if that doesn't work out, then I'm going to feel even more rejected. And so you can see there's this loop that happens where we can't really escape out of that. It's this kind of nightmare scenario that continues to run and get worse over time. So it goes that way for our self-esteem and self-confidence, not the direction we want to be going in. So what does that ultimately mean? What do we do about it? Well, it means that we have the opportunity to use a couple of new tools that help to build internal validation rather than constantly seeking it from outside. Now, I'm going to share two things that have worked really well for me personally, the two very easy things that you may already be doing them already. I said already too many times there. So the first one is gratitude journaling. Okay, it sounds so basic, but literally writing at least one, 3 maximum, things a day that you're grateful for, and either doing this in the morning or this in the evening. That gratitude journal has more power than we know, than we realize, because it starts to open us to realizing what I'm grateful for and what's working well in my life. And that always comes from within, because it's an internal realization, and then we write it down. So that's the first one. If you're not gratitude journaling, please take this advice and start gratitude journaling. At least one thing each day. Just get a notepad or a book and just write one thing each day. That's it. 2 minutes, not even that. It's one sentence. So there's really not much time involved in that at all. The second thing, if you are already gratitude journaling or you prefer to do this instead, is to write wins. These are my wins for today. So I haven't got my book in front of me, but from memory, last night, I do this every night before I go to bed. I write what I'm grateful for and what my wins were. My wins were yesterday I had a rejuvenation day where I took the day off. I went into nature. I just felt connected. Took my socks and shoes off on the grass just to feel connected with nature. These were all wins for me. I listened to the sounds of the birds. I noticed that there were different colors of flowers and just thought how amazing that is. Right? It doesn't matter how small it feels. These are all wins. So we don't look out for this massive transformational thing to be a win. We want to be celebrating the smallest possible stuff. And what this does over time is it builds internal validation. It shows there's things that I'm doing in my life that are taking my life in the direction that I choose. And I'm responsible for creating that. And now I'm celebrating it. And over time, I want you to imagine this like a snowball, those wins and that gratitude becoming bigger and bigger and bigger until we really start to build back our sense of internal validation, knowing who we are, what we stand for, what we love, what we appreciate about life. These are the types of tools that start to shift things, okay? We know there's not one silver bullet, so it's not like if we only gratitude journal, then performance anxiety or erection problems goes away. No, we're realistic and not thinking that there's one thing that solves it all, but this is a big step on that journey. Now, if this has been useful to you and you would like to get your hands on even more tools, well, every week I have a private newsletter that is just for subscribers. And in that, I share the latest tools and strategies to just give you guidance so that you can avoid a lifelong erection problem and just get your hands on practicing these new tools that take us out of that nightmare loop where you feel you may have been stuck for quite some time now. So if you'd like more of those, then head below into the comments. You'll see a link for the newsletter. Click on that. It will take you straight to the page to join. And then straight away, you'll get access to the latest set of tools and strategies. Okay, head below and click on that link now.